Developers don't like meetings. It's a common thing in the industry. But why do developers detest attending meetings? I don't think developers hate meetings. There's a particular type of meeting that developers detest, that they don't like. And these are meetings where less of the actual work is discussed and it's more political, more project management based. So if you have a meeting where you have top leaders, executives, managers talking about things that are not actually about the code or the work that the developers are doing, these kind of meetings developers do not enjoy. And when you have these kind of meetings more frequently, you quickly understand why developers just hate meetings and try to avoid them at all costs. So why is this so? I'm going to try to explain that in today's video. So the way I see it is, you have this sea of code. This is where developers live, right? So you have developers who are deep in the sea doing their work, right? So you have a couple of developers, so when they go down in, they're writing their code, doing their work, and the rest of, the world is out there, right? They're plugged in. This is what we say, they're plugged in. Now, if you have a manager that is well aware or also within this sea, you would have less annoying meetings. Because believe it or not, developers talk to themselves all the time when they do work. Right? A quick call, chat on Slack, get clarity, ask questions, and so on. It happens all the time, but very little short discussions and meetings, if you can call it that. Now, if you have a manager who is also aware of the context of the work that is being done, also understands the code, and can easily join the developers or understand the context in which they work, they can easily have meetings that will be less annoying to the developers. But generally what happens is you have a manager who is just above that sea level in some kind of boat here. Now, this manager, whenever they need to understand what's going on, they need to have a meeting where all the developers stop what they're doing, come up to sea level, and then have their catch-up meeting or whatever. Because the real problem is most of these organizations claim they're doing agile and they just have a long list of meetings and rituals that go on. Planning, stand-ups, retrospectives, demos. So all these meetings tend to become annoying because of the nature of the people involved. So if you have a manager who is just above sea level, not so much in touch with the work or the code or what's going on, but is not so detached from the developers, so they can easily come out of the sea for air, discuss with the manager, give him the update he needs, and move on. A manager like this would have less frequent and less annoying meetings. But in most cases, these managers are in some kind of helicopter up here. Now, managers like this are so far detached from what the developers are working on that they tend to request or require far more meetings and the kind of meetings that developers will find annoying. Because they're so detached, what they talk about or what they're interested in is typically not what concerns these developers. So whenever meetings are called, which will be frequent, the discussions in those meetings are not things developers find productive. They're more political, they're more about project management, and these things bore developers. Now, in an extreme case, which is also not so far off, which happens quite often, you find managers who are basically, as you can see in my own example here, detached and in outer space. Some stars, right? Now, managers who are way up here and in outer space would require way more meetings of their developers if they have this direct interaction with them. Require way more meetings, and these meetings are going to be much more annoying because it's so detached from the sea or the deep sea in which these developers operate. And in this sea, the deeper you go, the more you go into, the code and the things right beneath in the code base. So I think the solution to frequent annoying meetings is to have managers who understand the context in which developers operate. They know the code base, they understand the work that's going on, and speak the language of the developers. They can have quick meetings and chats and understand and get a very good overview of what's going on. They don't need to write the code themselves, but they understand the context. A manager that is in a boat just above the sea of code is also not too bad, but would definitely require more meetings than a manager who understands the code base. Most managers are at the helicopter level. And I think this is why developers find meetings very frequent and annoying, because you have someone who is in charge of the work you do, who is managing you, but is so detached from the work itself and doesn't even understand the challenges that these developers are facing when they do their work. And it's so hard for them to express it. If unfortunately you have a developer who is in outer space, super detached, then they tend to not even see the value of the work you do because there's this very large gap and detachment. So if you work in an organization and you feel you're having too many meetings, too many annoying meetings as a developer, check carefully. You find out that the reason for that is you have more people in meetings that are detached from the day-to-day work you do as a developer. The more technical your managers are, or the more they understand the work you do, I believe the less frequent the meetings would be, or at least the less annoying the meetings would be. So give a comment in the comment section if this is true in your organization, or if not, or if there's anything you want to add to the discussion. And if you're new here, you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, share the video so that the channel can get the reach it needs and we can get to our goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year.